And welcome back, everyone, to the Pokemon Team Creation Series. Today's Pokemon Team Creation Series suggestion comes to us from Xenomon Official. Again, he's just been showing up everywhere, Xenomon. Actually, it's Seth Xenomon Official, to be fair, this time around. Well, I'm guessing either maybe the same person with a different who changed their name after a while, or a different person. It could be. Regardless, you asked the question, Yusei Fudo, the lead of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. What is his, in my opinion, Pokemon team? Now, I've done Yugi, I've done Joey. I think I did Merrick also. I think I did Merrick, but I can't be certain about that. At some point, I'm going to run through the entire cast of Yu-Gi-Oh! And you know what? I'm down. I like Yu-Gi-Oh! Yusei, though, Yusei is an interesting one. I always say that, but it's true. Every character is an interesting one. But Yusei is interesting because he's drastically different from the two previous leads. Oh, I did Jaden. That's right. I did Jaden as well. But he's drastically different from both Jaden and Yugi. He's very stoic, serious. He's the kind of stern, we gotta do whatever we can, guys, protagonist. He's also kind of a badass in many ways. He grew up in the Satellite, which is kind of the slums. So he's a bit of a junk rat. He's not a pack rat, mind you, but he's a junk rat. He would collect, he would build. He's actually very intelligent and very tech savvy, as well as being a grease monkey. So, what kind of Pokemon team can we extrapolate from that? Well, let's get the dual rider thing out of the way. It's Koraidon, okay? Everyone who's a Yu-Gi-Oh fan made that damn comparison with Jack Atlas and Yusei Fudo when Koraidon and Miraidon came out. He has a Koraidon, okay? That's his dual rider Pokemon. It's badass. It's also a good representation of his segment as a signer of the Crimson Dragon. Because it is it's Scarlet, but it's a Crimson Dragon. So that, I think, works pretty well, actually. But he has another dragon we need to address. Obviously, his ace, Stardust Dragon. Now, Stardust Dragon as a Pokemon, I'm going through all the dragon types. There is definitely no one-to-one comparison for Stardust, at least from an appearance standpoint. There are Mon that could look a little bit closer to him than others, but he's got a very unique appearance for a dragon, at least when you compare it to Pokemon, because he's stark white with blue in there, a little silver mixed in. He's got a standard dragon body, long neck, but he's got that spear arrow nose going on, and there's nothing that really works for that. So, to think out of the box, I'm like, okay, what does Stardust Dragon do? He's immensely powerful, so any pseudo or legendary dragon can work. He's palish in color, so if I can get closer to appearance, I gotta lean towards that. But he has the ability to take himself out off the field as well as to negate something, either being, I think, the attack or being destroyed in battle, or to negate the activation of a spell, and then he can basically pause back on the field. So that, at least in Pokemon terms, sounds like spatial manipulation. And so I ultimately went with Palkia as the representation of Stardust Dragon. Now, I'm more than willing to hear other people's theories on which Pokemon could represent Stardust Dragon the best. I was considering for a moment Altaria, because Altaria can Mega Evolve into Mega Altaria. I was considering Kyurem or one of the Kyurem fusion forms, or Reshiram, but ultimately I like Palkia a little bit better. He has a body type, I think, closer to Stardust, who, while still looking like a dragon, does look like he is kind of wearing body armor to some minor degree, and Palkia and Dialga both share that common thread as well. But between him and Dialga, we're not manipulating time, which would be like the length of turns. We're manipulating space, popping in and out. That would be Palkia's shtick. Beyond that, between the two, he's also the only one with actual wings. There are wings on Palkia's back there. We just don't normally see them like in motion, or see them like what's the best way? Fanned out in a wingspan. We don't normally see that. At least in the games, we don't. But yeah, also, Stardust does have these orbs on his body that are just like, energy or whatever you want to call them. And Palkia has those as well, with the pearls on his shoulders. Either way, I think Palkia is a good representation of Stardust, but I'd be willing to hear other representations as well. But I also wanted to go with the idea of him being very intelligent, something that would allow him to properly use tech, allow him to fix up his dual rider when he gets the chance. And when thinking on that, I'm like, okay, I need something. What would be a good Pokemon for technology? And Porygon comes to mind. I went, though, with Porygon 2. Now, why did I go Porygon 2 and not the original Porygon or Porygon Z? Porygon Z is the strongest alleged version of these three lines. Technically, I don't believe its stats actually change. I think they just get redistributed or something like that. Redistributed. Distributed. Anyway, I'm saying I can't say redistributed. I can't say it for some reason. I can hear the word in my head. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with this right now. For some reason, I can't say distribute. Why can't I say the damn word? If I heard someone say it, I could then say it again. For some reason, I can't say it. Redistribute. What the? I'm actually really pissed off. I can't pronounce that word right now. That's bothering me. Anyway, the stats I think are just rearranged. They redistributed. It's pissing me off. I actually can't say the word. Anyway, so I didn't want to use the fully evolved version because he doesn't have access to the best technology. But you use basically, I think it's like an upgrade disc or a dubious disc. I think that's what it's called, to upgrade your Porygon. I'd like to think he had a Porygon, but because he's someone who can kind of just assemble he's someone who'll dual runner from nothing, pretty much. Because he's someone who can really work with what he has, I imagine he found a way to get his hands on a dubious disc and evolve his Porygon into a Porygon 2. So, while it's not as strong as Porygon Z, it is still an effective Pokemon nonetheless. And then the remaining members of his team, I did want to represent the fact that he is a grease monkey. The fact that he is someone who assembles things from kind of nothing and makes something. Hell, the crux of his deck until he got his Stardust Dragon back was actually Junk Synchron and Junk Warrior. Junk is in the name. So what Pokemon can represent that? Well, Kling Clang, I think, is actually a good representation of that. It's just gears, and you use gears in your dual runner. You use gears to make things. And if you want to get a little technical here, there's a subtle reference to Synchro Summon, because Synchro Summon is just more than one Mon coming together. You either use a tuner and then however many Mon you need to get to the level to create a Synchro Summon. Technically, what you're seeing here is just a Kling and a Clang together, and it makes Kling Clang. So that theoretically, at least in a subtle way, can represent Synchro Shokan, Synchro Summoning. Anyway, so then I wanted to go with one that wasn't fully out. I wanted to go with Varoom, but he's already got Koraidon, so I think Varoom is actually a cute, like, we could just be kind of like his cute little pet Pokemon. Like, he's technically a member of the team and can fight. It's just he's more acting like a dog and helping out when he can. Maybe even helping Yusei with some quick getaway when Koraidon's unable to, before Koraidon was able to help him out, because his dual runner wasn't always working. And then last but not least, to represent some of his some of the cards in his deck, like Junk Warrior, Junk Synchron, I went with Magearna. Now, Magearna, admittedly, is a Pokemon that might not fully work here. You could also go with like a Bisharp, but because it really is more of a cog work, it's an automaton. It needs like Soul Heart power, say like the Crimson Dragon flows through it or whatever, or just Synchro Shokan. Either way, I think it works well as a representation of a warrior made from just haphazard parts. Hell, you could even theoretically see Yusei making Magearna himself and then somehow acquiring a Soul Heart that was like thrown away, almost like Alita Battle Angel style. Which, by the by, if I ever whenever I get around to an Alita Battle Angel video, you bet your ass that Magearna will be on the team. Magearna, not Magearna, sorry, Magearna. So, yeah, ultimately, that, I think, is the team I would choose for Yusei Fudo. But as always, the question is, how balanced is the team? And it's weird, because you have two Mon that are going to get clapped by both dragons and fairies in the form, and honestly, to a degree, ice. Although Palkia, Actually, they're probably neutral to ice because they both have fighting and water, both types strong against ice and resistant as far as I remember. So a third of the team is already going to get clapped by fairies, and then a third of the team is going to get clapped by fighting types. But Megirda and Varum are not going to get clapped by fighting types because they both have types that resist fighting after the fact. But then you also have half the team is just going to get legit cooked by fire types and ground types, actually. In fact, Varum has a quad weakness to ground types. So that's a bit of a problem. But other than that, it's not too bad, too mismatched. I think their biggest problem, as I said, are actually going to be fire and ground types, because otherwise there's no weakness that goes beyond 2 of them on the team. So I would I'd say it's all right balance. But when half your team can get clapped by at least 2 types, there is then an imbalance in the team. So yeah, that's though just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching though. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. What would you do for Yusei Fudo's team? Do you agree with this team? Do you disagree with this team? What would you do? Let me know. Till then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you for Who Would Win. Later.